folks, we're going to take a look at Inventor Gears, and I'm going to take you through how we can set this up. It's actually a lot easier than what I was showing you in class. It's just a little bit finicky as you change the number of teeth. So this is my part 1 file, and I made a sketch. My sketch has 4 circles. In Inventor, it doesn't really matter if you turn things into center lines or not, but I did want to be able to see them. So this is my pitch circle. I went up to my format and I changed its format to a different line type. So my pitch circle, my base circle, again, I just chose a different format. So I have 4 circles, and so 1, 2, 3, 4. These 2 are solids because I want my dedendum and addendum to set the root and tip of the tooth. So 4 circles, and that's really all I started with in my sketch. And then I remembered that Inventor has this great thing called parameters, and this is what will make it much easier for us to modify our gears. So I set up parameters, and if you open a new model, you should see none down here, and you can add them in. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new parameter. So for example, if I wanted to save the base circle radius separately, I would say it's the base diameter divided by 2, which is fine. So this is the base circle radius. So if we look through these, I saved the pitch diameter in inches, the diametral pitch, and I called that unitless. It's actually 1/inches, and I'll explain to you why that's a little bit funky here. But I also have my addendum, which is a function of my diametral pitch and my pitch diameter, and my dedendum. And then I have my pitch angle, which I just put in as 20 degrees, and that sets my base circle diameter. The angle that I'm going to use for my mirror line, I called Q. Q is the English translation of theta. And here, I realized it was much easier if I found the number of teeth. And so I did add in the number of teeth, which is the diameter, and I divided by inches because I was having trouble with the units, and then I multiplied by the diametral pitch. So my 20-inch, 4 teeth per inch gear has 80 teeth. So this makes sense. So this is the, I should clarify, number of teeth, and this is the angle to mirror line. Okay, so now I have all of these user parameters. So if I decide to change my design from 20 inches to 60 inches, suddenly all of my circles are updated. Or if I decide to change my pitch to 8, that's going to change the distance between these circles. So all of this is a function of pretty much these top 2 parameters. If I know the diametral pitch and the pitch diameter, I can set pretty much everything else, right? So I'm going to click, I'm going to go ahead and put this back to 4 for now, and click done. Okay, and so now I'm still in sketch 1, and when you dimension these, so I said that this dimension is the base circle diameter. And so now those are linked. So to put a dimension in, right, you click dimension, you click what you want to dimension, and then you click to put it in. So I have my DA, addendum, my D, pitch, DD, which is dedendum, and DB, my base circle. So then I'll go ahead in this one, and I'm just going to delete these lines, and we're going to look at how we put those in. So it's circles, pretty straightforward, diameters. So now I'm going to go ahead and underline, choose an equation curve. And here I want my, involute curve. Okay, so my involute curve, I'm going to go ahead and click my equation curve. So here, I want to use for my radius the base diameter over 2, and then I want my involute curve expression. So that's the cosine of, and my parameter down here is t, okay? but I want to interpret T as radians, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply that by radians plus T times the sine of T times 1 rad. Did I get enough semicolons? I think I did. And so when we look at the units here, it kind of spreads everything out, makes it a little bit easier to double check. It took me a few times to try to figure out how to interpret T as a radian, but this is working well. I'm going to go ahead and copy paste because I am a little lazy. So sine, and then this is a minus T cosine. And 1 is probably too big, but you can change this as needed, and it should give you a preview. So it's 0.6, 0.5. That's plenty. So I'm going to go ahead and hit check mark. And what happened? It is not formatted the same way I was expecting. Maybe the format was set as... Okay, so there we go. So now I have my equation. So to say it again, I went to the line, I put in an equation curve, and you can double click on this to see it again. So I can modify my range, and that's all that is there. So I'm going to hit the check mark, and now we have to put in those lines. So I grab my line tool, and the idea here is that the distance in the angle from where the tooth is on the pitch circle to the center of the tooth, and I'm going to hit the Alt key. Oh, okay, why is it auto? Okay, there we go. So I have the intersection point with the pitch circle, and then I have just another line that connects to the pitch circle. And I'll put in the dimension, but I'm going to just call it Q because I already have this dimension chosen in my parameters. So I'm going to call it Q. And we'll back up to see what this all looks like. So that turned out to be 1.13. Okay. And the last step would just be to mirror this right here. So I select my feature to mirror, and then I select my mirror line, and I apply it, and I've got a gear tooth. So there it is. So from the D-dendum to the A-dendum, that's my gear tooth profile. I'm going to go ahead and set these to construction. I don't know if it'll help, but I'm going to set that as a construction line. This is different than changing the format. It should change how it interprets those lines, but ultimately I've got my circle, my 4 diameters, my parametric equation for the involute curve. So I finish my sketch, and then I have to do this extrusion in 2 steps. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm not going to use these grayed out ones. I'm going to go ahead and do it brand new. So I'll extrude sketch 1. So I'm going to use the D-dendum circle. So that's this one. I would choose my depth and put it in, and shift and holding the scroll wheel gives you a rotate in Inventor. So now I've got my D-dendum circle. And from there, I want to extrude again. So I'm going to click on the sketch, and where did I find it? Repeat extrusion. Actually, maybe it'll just let me do it this way. Okay, so I clicked on the sketch and clicked on the extrusion. I feel like I had to do it differently last time. Like I right-clicked here, and I had to find a repeat extrude. Oh, here it is, repeat extrude, right at the top. So repeat extrude on that sketch, and now I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to grab the gear tooth. So that's my gear tooth, same thickness, put it in. And now we'll go ahead and turn the visibility on my sketch off so I can start to see this is turning into a gear, right? So then the last step would be the fillets. Choose a fillet that makes sense to you. We should be able to consider what the fillet radius will do to help reduce our stress concentration. So now I have extrusion 1 for the dedendum circle, extrusion 2 for the gear tooth fillet, for the fillets at the gear tooth root, and circular pattern for features. I'll choose the extrusion and the fillet. Rotation axis, I'll choose the circle. Placement, you ready? N, T. Now it's going to make it with the number of teeth. I went too fast, so I'll open that back up. Edit feature. So here, placement, I just used the parameter. And click OK. Now, sometimes changing those parameters it's going to break things. So I can show you, sometimes it's easy. So if I manage the parameters, if instead of a pitch of 4, it was of 6, I don't think that's going to break anything. I have more teeth, the teeth are smaller, it didn't really break anything. If instead of 6, it's 2, I don't think this will break anything either. Okay, right? So I can change the pitch pretty easily. Things that might break it, diameter. If I change this, now if I change it a little bit, 24 inches, does it break anything? Yeah, it broke something. So I'm gonna go ahead and change this back to 20, because if you break something, you get an error. My suggestion to you is suppress everything. Actually, suppress everything. Go ahead and suppress everything. And then go into the sketch and change your parameter. So if instead of my 20-inch gear, I wanted to make my 8-inch gear, okay? We can see how much that changed the sketch. So I'm really glad all my features are suppressed, so I couldn't break anything. So I have an 8-inch gear, and maybe here I'll change my dimensional pitch up a little bit. Okay, so done. First thing I can observe. So this is changing it. First thing I can observe, my base circle is bigger than my dedendum, so I'm missing a line. So I'm gonna have to fix that because my dedendum and base circle swapped. But the second thing I can observe is that this hasn't updated. Or if it has updated, it doesn't look like it's long enough. So I'm gonna go into my equation curve and I'm going to change, that was too much. Maybe 6. Ooh, and so now we can see something's gone wrong. And I'm actually really glad this happened in the video, because sometimes I need to kind of break this expression, change it a little bit, and then I change it back. So I just changed B to D and back, and it's still not working. Okay, I'm gonna pause the video while I troubleshoot this. Hold on. Okay, so I will admit, sometimes this equation editor, when you change your parameters, gets really cranky. I ended up deleting it and starting over. It's 3 clicks to fix it, but I'll go ahead and... Okay, so now I have my curve again. I have to mirror it again. And I'm gonna mirror that, about that, and apply, and somehow my base circle is smaller than my dedendum again. So maybe it was just a graphics issue on my window. Unsuppress my extrusion. Unsuppress the gear tooth, which may or may not give an error. So we'll go ahead and edit the feature. So sometimes you'll have to, oops, select. Well, this has gone swimmingly. We're gonna pause here. It's gotten to 14 minutes and something's gone wrong with my editing of the gear. And I will come back to this when I have more time to troubleshoot. I actually just recalled what likely happens. I'm gonna go back to this extrusion and edit the feature and just make sure it's extruding the right circle. So I'm gonna go in and extrude. Oh good, this one's not working either.